Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The-Hex-Files. In this episode, I want to talk about transmuting energy. So, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it can be transmuted into another form. So, for instance, if you have negative energy, you can transform it into positive energy. And to do that, typically you would need sage to cleanse the energy to basically make it neutral. And it also helps with negative energies, as in like spirits or entities. So if you have, for instance, an area that's haunted, those are negative energies slash entities that are tied to that location. So in order to get rid of them or to cleanse it, you would sage the area very thoroughly to cleanse it out. And what that does is that creates a neutral space for you to then create positive energy in that space. And once you cleanse it though, you do need to protect it from the energies coming back or more negative energy coming into that space. And to do that, you would salt the entrances of the place or around the perimeter. So the entrances would be like the doorways, window seals, maybe a pet door if you have a pet door. But you could also do the perimeter. So if you have like land, you can actually walk the perimeter very slowly during a full moon to empower the salt. And it's not just salt. What it is usually it's a mixture. So you would have sea salt and eggshells. So you can do this on your own. You can actually make it yourself. My mom and I have made it in the past to salt the perimeter of our home. And so what you do is you have the eggshells. So you wash them really good, make sure they're dry and clean. And then you have, what are they called? Mortars, I think. The little bowls with the thing that you crush. So you crush them up and make it into like a fine powder. And then you would take some sea salt, mix it in and stir it really well. And then you could put it into like a glass jar container. And what you do is you let it sit for a few days. And you can have it out in the moonlight, same thing at night to help charge it. But doing it under a full moon will charge the salt for protection. And when you go to salt the perimeter under a full moon, you want to walk very slowly and just envision a protective wall of light as you're walking the perimeter, slowly just seasoning the ground. And you just slowly walk around the perimeter, envisioning it being protected with these white light wall. And what that does is that prevents any new negative energies or entities from entering or crossing that barrier, because salt is a very purifying element, and entities that are bad or have ill intent can't cross that because it's a purified element. So it's great for protection. And like I said, if you can't do the whole perimeter, like the land, say you're in a business or an apartment or something like that, you want to salt the building to protect you, you can just do the doorways and the window, and that will be sufficient. Another thing you can do too is when you do that, after you've saged, that's the first thing. You have to sage to clear out the negative energies. Then you salt to protect any new energies from coming in that are negative. And then a final thing you can do as well is have some black tourmaline and put those in the corners of the home, building, whatever that you're trying to protect. And that will also help create a shield blocking the negative energies, but also absorb any negative energies that come in or get too close. So they act as like another protection stone for your place. You can put them, typically you want to put them in all the corners of the building. So If it has four corners, four corners. If it's kind of more like odd shaped, you want to just kind of place them, almost creating your own virtual border around the building. When you do that, it adds that extra layer of protection. And you also have to be careful too, if you're huge into antiques, that's awesome, because I admit I have a few antique items and they're really cool to have and collect. But the bad thing is, it's just like you can have haunted locations, you can also have haunted items. And what that is the energies attach themselves to the item. So wherever that item goes, the energy also goes. So you have to be careful when you go to antique stores and you pick out something and bring it home. You definitely want to cleanse it first before bringing it into your home, because what you could end up doing is you can end up inviting that negative energy into your home by bringing the item into your home. So you want to, again, sage it really well. Just get the sage and kind of use like a feather to fan the sage smoke onto the item. And while you're doing that, do the same thing as you would do with the perimeter. Just envision a white light purifying the item to get rid of anything that's attached to it, because that item's been around for a long time. You don't know what is attached to it. Probably a lot of things that you don't want to have in your home. So make sure you do that. Another thing you could do too is, when you are out and about, you can also protect yourself from negative energies by carrying black tourmaline. I actually have some with me right now. Hang on, I'm trying to get out of my pocket. Okay, I got it out of my pocket. So I carry some black tourmaline with me. It's on a keychain, which is handy because, I could just attach it to my car keys or pocket, whatever. And the cool thing is it's even reflective, like a glossy black finish, and it almost looks like charred wood, kind of. But this is great for absorbing negative energies, but also blocking negative energies. And it also works with spiritual attacks too, like psychic attacks. So carrying this will help protect you from any kind of like bad energies trying to bring you down, dim your light. So I carry it with me. I have it in my pouch as well. It's a good stone to keep with you, and it helps ground you to the earth's energies. So not only does it protect you from negative energies, but it also aligns you with the earth's energy. So I suggest carrying some with you, and it's a really beautiful stone, and it's good for rubbing in the palm if you get nervous. It helps calm your energies as well. So not only do negative energies attach themselves to places or objects, but negative energies can also take the form of humans, or what we perceive as humans, or even animals. So if you have like a weird feeling about someone, and you just feel like something's off about them, or you start to get uncomfortable around them, that's a good indicator that you should stay away from that person. Always trust your instincts, because they're there for a reason. They're to help guide you and protect you along your path. So always trust your instincts. And a good thing to do is, while you're carrying the black tourmaline with you, these entities can't really harm you, but the good thing is to still stay away from them, because you don't want them to drain your energy or try to dim your light in any way. So it's best to stay away from those people or animals that you don't feel comfortable around. And a lot of people just brush it off as like, oh, it's just whatever. Like, no, your instincts are telling you something for a reason. So it's best to trust it. So I trust my instincts a lot, and I stay away from people that make me uncomfortable. So definitely listen to your intuition, because your intuition's helping you. And there's also this item, which I don't want to say the name because I don't want to associate myself with that item. But a lot of you probably know what I'm talking about, that board that you can communicate with spirits. That is not a very good tool to be using. It does work, unfortunately, but what it does is it attracts lower vibration entities or negative entities. So you're essentially connecting and inviting that negative entity into your home by trying to communicate with it. So that board kind of acts as like a portal. So you're shining this light, which attracts those negative entities to it. And people think it's a fun game to play, but I really wish you guys would not touch one of those. And it's best to not even have one in your home, because again, the negative entities that are associated with it are having an access point to your home, and you don't want that. Trust me. There's a lot of things out there that it might sound like fun to like, oh, let's see what happens or mess around with it. But if there's anything that these movies have taught us in Hollywood, is that when you start to mess with things you don't understand, you typically bring something really bad into your life. So I would suggest, from a witch's perspective, not to touch one of those. They are not the best tool to use. If you're looking for answers, you can do the one like I told you, where you're communicating directly with the universe, where you're asking a question and you're asking for the signs to answer those questions that you have. That is the most pure and best way to get the answers that you're looking for, and the safest. Because you're communicating directly with the universe. You're not communicating with some evil entity that you're inviting into your home, and it has other ulterior motives of why it's there. So don't play with one of those. If anyone ever has one, I suggest you leave. You do not want to be associated with one of those things. And like I said, I'm not going to name this board, but you know what I'm talking about. Don't play with it. It might sound like fun and it might sound interesting, but don't. Don't invite that negativity into your life, because you'll regret it. And I'm not trying to scare you guys, but I'm just trying to make an emphasis on how bad this item actually is, and to stay away from it, just for your protection. If you're looking for answers, you can ask the universe directly. You don't need some board like that to communicate with the universe. You have direct access to the universe. I suggest you use that instead. So going back to objects having the ability to retain negative energies, I have a story to tell you guys about an encounter that I've personally experienced with that. So this was a few years ago. One of my friends from work had been throwing a party. So she's like inviting a bunch of people, and she's like, yeah, come over, it'll be great. We'll have drinks, music, games, whatever. Cool. So I went over there, and unfortunately I was trying to dress up, and I decided not to wear my pentagram ring or my necklace, which I always wear for protection. But I decided, I'm like, I'm gonna wear something different, something a little flashy, because it's a party, like I want to dress up a little. And I shouldn't have done that, because when we got there and we're all hanging out, having a good time, having some food, they were doing a barbecue, it was really good, and we're all hanging out talking. Well, my friend then decided to tell us, like, oh, hey, I hope you guys don't mind, but like, there's kind of like a weird thing about the house, and I was kind of wanting to tell you guys. And we're all like, what do you mean weird thing about the house? And she's like, yeah, so every time me and my husband leave, our cross that we have mounted in the hallway of our home always falls and ends up upside down every single time we leave and come back. It's there on the floor upside down. And we have it mounted really well. So there's like no way this thing is just falling on its own. And we don't know what's causing it. And when she said that, I was like, oh my God. Of course, the one time I decide not to wear my pentacle for protection, she has a negative entity in her home that I am now vulnerable to. So from being a witch, this is kind of ironic that I wasn't prepared for. I'm always protected. I'm always carrying crystals. I always have my pentacle on. I'm doing protection spells, all this stuff. But the one time I decided to, let loose and just live a little, there's a negative entity in her home. So I am now dealing with that. And I'm like, cool. So we're hanging out and we're talking, and she's like, "You guys want to see it?" And I'm like, "Not particularly. No, I don't really want to get closer to the thing. It's bad enough I'm in the same house as it." So she brought it out and she was showing us, and this is really beautiful, like kind of like Catholic style cross, I think. I don't know really what it's called. I'm not huge on crosses, but it was pretty big and elaborate, and I believe it was made out of wood, and it was pretty heavy. Like she was struggling kind of holding it up. But it looked pretty cool. And she's like, "Yeah, and like look, like we have all these brackets that are secured, like bolted to the wall. There's no way this thing is just falling on its own." And I started kind of getting a little worried. I'm like, ugh. So now it's even closer, and I'm seeing the object with this entity attached to it. And of course, I didn't say anything at the time. She didn't know I was a witch. She didn't know all this other stuff. So I just tried to brush it off and then just enjoy the party. So she went, hung it back up on the wall in her hallway. And she's like, "Yeah, it's just so weird. Like, I swear, it's every time we leave and come home, it's on the floor upside down." She's like, "We can't figure out what's causing it. There's nothing knocking it off the wall." And so I'm like, "Can we talk about something else?" So we did. We started talking about other things and playing games and having a good time, you know, drinking and everything. And that's my next point. I was drinking a little, and the bad thing with drinking is it does lower your vibration a little bit, which makes you more vulnerable and susceptible to negative energies. So we were playing the games, having a good time, and I went to go leave. I sobered up. I wasn't drinking and driving. I don't do that. I sobered up and, you know, went home, and actually I didn't live too far from it. It was like a couple blocks away. So I drove home, and I'm getting ready for bed. I started to brush my teeth and do everything. And it was funny. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and all of a sudden the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And I was like, ooh, I was like, I think it followed me home. And because I can sense energy really, really strongly. And this energy did not feel good. It felt really bad. And I started freaking out, and I was just like, okay. So I went and got my pentacle ring, put it on, and I was finished brushing my teeth, and I can still feel it. Like the hairs back of my neck were just standing up, and it was so uncomfortable. It felt like whatever it was standing directly behind me, kind of like towering over me. And I'm like, I'm so glad I can't see what you look like, because I can only feel what you feel like, and it does not feel good. It feels like pure evil. And I was like, okay. And so I kind of just said quietly out loud that, "Get out of here. You're not welcome. Like, you need to leave." And for a second, I didn't feel it. I was like, okay. And then I walked into the kitchen to grab some water. And when I was in there, I was like, okay, everything's good. I don't feel anything. Then all of a sudden, I was starting to walk back to my bedroom, and the hairs back of my neck stood up again. I was like, oh my God, it's following me. So I was like, okay, you need to leave. You're not welcome. Like, get out of here. And I was still feeling it. So I walked into my room, was feeling it even more strongly. And I'm like, okay. So I got the sage, and I started saging the crap out of the whole area, the whole home. And it took a minute, but it slowly started to like settle down, and I wasn't feeling it as much. So I finally was able to cleanse it out. And so I wore my pentacle amulet to bed just as an extra precaution. And when I went to get up in the morning, I felt fine. I didn't feel like there was anything off. I didn't feel the entity anymore, which was good, because it was a horrible feeling. It just felt like pure evil. And so I was glad it was gone, because I did not want it sticking around and hanging out with me. So the next day I went to work, and I didn't tell anybody anything what happened. And it was like a few days later, my friend who had the party, she was telling us at work in our group, she's like, yeah, it's so weird. Like my husband and I have been leaving the house and like the cross isn't falling anymore. Like it's so weird. It's staying mounted to the wall. And I kind of laughed to myself. I'm like, yeah, I think it's because I brought it home with me. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't realize it was going to follow you home. And I was like, no, it's okay. I took care of it. I ended up cleansing it and it's gone now. So I'm glad you don't have it anymore. And she laughed. She's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. I feel so bad now. And I'm like, it's fine. I'm used to it. And then I told her, I was like, I'm a witch. I was born and raised a witch. And so like I deal with this kind of stuff regularly. So I'm kind of used to it. So it wasn't a big deal to just go ahead and cleanse it and purify the energy. I was like, I'm glad I was able to help you guys. So she's like, thanks. She's like, do I owe you anything? I was like, no, you're good. But it was nice to be able to help her out. But that really made me more conscious about not leaving the house without some form of protection, whether it's my crystals or my pentacle. So that's why I always am wearing my ring, is so I have my protection, because that was not fun having that energy follow me home and try to engage with me while I'm getting ready for bed. So I want a peaceful night rest, not having some evil entity hunting me while I'm trying to sleep. So again, that's why you need to be careful and keep yourself protected at all times, because just like in that scenario, you never know what you might run into. I wasn't expecting to run into something like that. I wasn't expecting there to be some supernatural event occurring at her home. Like I was just like, oh, we're going over for a party, like it's fine, like whatever. But I realized later that you got to be prepared for anything, especially when you get tapping into your power and the energies of the universe, because that kind of opens the doorway to other things that are a little on the scary side. But I'm not trying to freak you guys out. Still open yourself to the universe and your power. But you need to learn, while doing that, you still have to protect yourself from all of the negative energies out there, because they're going to try to dim your light. But with you being as powerful as you are and practicing these techniques that I'm teaching you, you're going to be just fine. Just like in that scenario, it didn't harm me. It was just an unpleasant feeling. You know, it's not like these Hollywood movies where like the entity is going to come out and just like murder you or something. Like, no, it's going to kind of scare you and try to dim your light and kind of make you weaker. So I knew it was doing that. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't like this feeling, but you're not going to take away my power. I'm getting rid of you. So you need to leave. So that's a really fun story that I will always remember. But that's why I want to express the importance of you guys cleansing items before bringing them into your home. I didn't ask her where she got that cross, but she probably got it somewhere. Maybe that was like an antique shop. I don't know. But we need to make sure we're conscious about what we bring into our home, because you're inviting energies into your home every single day, whether you know it or not. So that's why you take precautions of cleansing the home, make it pure, so it's your energy, not someone else's, not some other entity's energy. It's your energy, because it's your home. So make it a safe place for yourself. But once you cleanse it out, you then protect it from anything coming in that's unwanted. So by doing that, you do, like I said, the salt mixture, and I taught you how to make it, so make sure you make lots of it. And I would suggest when you guys do the salting, probably do it, you don't have to do it all the time. And like I said, it's best to do it under a full moon. So I would say maybe every other month you can do it, but just whatever resonates with you. If you feel like, hey, you know, it's been a while, I should probably do it, then go ahead and do it. That's your intuition saying like, hey, your protection needs a little bit of revamping, some updating. So just follow it. If it feels right, just do it. But that's why I said you want to be careful what you're bringing into your home. Make sure you always cleanse it, protect yourself, have some sort of protection on you, whether it's the pentacle, ring, amulet, or if you have crystals, like I said, the black tourmaline's good for that. So just always stay safe and protected, because you guys are leveling up and energies are going to try to keep you down. So don't let them win. Don't focus on the bad stuff, focus on the good stuff, because there's a lot of good things coming, and I'm excited for you guys to be learning this stuff from a modern day witch. So, and I'm teaching you all the good things that are going to benefit you. Like I said, manifesting, communicating with the universe, protecting yourself from negative energies, negative entities. You want to be more aware, because knowledge is power. If you know this stuff's out there, like I said, the negative entities, you know how to protect yourself. You have the power to defend yourself against those entities, rather than just, oh, there's something negative, I don't know what to do about it. You have the power to handle it in those situations. So make sure you keep your intention positive, and don't let things bring you down. Don't let things move your intentions to negative things going on, because then you're going to start manifesting more negative things, and also manifesting negative entities. So again, don't do that. You want to stay positive, you want to stay uplifted. And in this case with my friend having that item, she just didn't know what she was dealing with. And in that sense, if she knew what I'm teaching you guys right now, she could have handled it and it would have been taken care of within like a day. Versus, hey, every single time we leave the house, it ends up upside down on the floor. Like, she would have been able to handle it the first time it happened and went about her life, and I never would have experienced it. I'm not blaming her for that. It's just, I'm saying knowledge is power. If you know how to handle these things, you can take care of it and squash it right when it starts, and not let it linger, not let it haunt you. And you can actually do some really amazing work. Like I said, I cleansed that for her without even really trying. It latched onto me because I was unprotected, and it brought it into my home again, unaware that I was doing that, because I didn't know it was with me until it presented itself when it was already in my home. And like I said, that during that time, we probably should have re-cleansed the area, but I might have let it slide a little bit. So that was a bad thing on my part. So that's why I said, if it feels right, if it resonates with you to revamp your protection spell, go ahead and do it, because it means there might be something close by that you need to protect yourself from. So I'm really glad that you guys are with me so far on this journey of me doing my podcast. This has been a little bit of a struggle, because like, it's the first time doing a podcast, so I'm still learning the ins and outs and how to perfect these videos. But eventually I have some really cool animations and whatnot and make it even way better. But in the meantime, I'm excited that you guys are with me on this journey, because I just want to spread as much knowledge as I can to help as many people as I can. Because like I said, me being raised a witch my whole life, I've experienced some amazing things in my life. I'm still discovering amazing things, and magic and spells and techniques and getting signs from the universe. Like, there's so much out there that I'm just now experiencing, and I'm excited to share that with you guys. So thank you for being with me on this journey, and I hope you guys continue to be with me on this journey. And I know I talk a lot, but I'm like, isn't that what a podcast is? Like, you're supposed to talk a lot? But I'm working on keeping these videos shorter and to the point, so I'm not going to go on for like an hour talking, even though I probably could, but I'll save it for another video. In the meantime, stay safe, carry some black tourmaline with you, because it will protect you from negative energies. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, because you absolutely deserve it. Bye.